In today's video, we will talk about the recommended talents for all fighters and why you should try these emblem configurations out, or at least use them as inspirations to improve your build further. If you want us to post the recommended talents for other roles, hit like, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to comment down below what role you would like us to upload next. Before we proceed with the heroes and their respective talents, keep in mind that the emblem configuration can now be customized during the draft phase. Take advantage of that and make necessary adjustments to your emblem configuration based on both teams' lineups. There is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all emblem configuration. In the end, the best emblem configuration is still the one that works best against the enemy team's lineup. Use this video as a guide to help you create your very own emblem configuration, and make sure to read hero abilities as much as you can, so you will be able to come up with the most ideal configuration. For most of the heroes, we will provide 2 or more emblem configurations and will also provide optional choices that can help you customize your hero's performance. Also, if you want to become a better player in any lane or role, we recommend watching the following videos. The links are on the description. Use this configuration if you want Arlott to deal as much damage as possible. Pull Yourself Together is a necessity in order to decrease Flameshot's cooldown, while Brave Smite allows Arlott to gain HP after dealing skill damage. If you prefer something with better HP sustain, this is the ideal configuration. It has 10% spell vamp in exchange for physical damage penetration. This configuration is ideal regardless if you will play Fredrin as a roamer, XP laner, or jungler. When playing Fredrin, keep in mind that you have to have as much survivability as possible in order to maximize his ultimate's full potential. You can also use this configuration if you prefer higher defenses. This configuration is ideal for most enemy lineups and has excellent damage output. This configuration is most effective if you will play Julian with 4 or more magic damage items. Though this is highly unlikely in higher ranks, if the enemy team has 4 squishy heroes, having the configuration focused on magic power might be a better choice due to the enemy's low magic defenses. Since Julian is ideally played as a jungler, replacing Weapon Master with Bargain Hunter is a good option, especially if you want to get his core items quickly. This configuration is focused on dealing as much damage as possible. I recommend buying a minimum of 4 physical damage items if you will use this configuration. On the other hand, if you prefer playing Yin with greater HP sustain and some defensive items, this configuration would be ideal. In my opinion, this is only a good choice if you will play Yin on the XP lane. Let's be honest though, Yin is better off as a jungler than an XP laner because of his potential in joining as many team fights as possible. This configuration is capable of having Aulus deal as much damage as possible. Bargain Hunter is an optional talent if you want to get your items faster. It is normally a good idea to have Bargain Hunter if you are dealing with junglers or enemies that are extremely good in the early game. This configuration provides Phoveus with greater HP sustain, which can be a good configuration if you are dealing with XP laners that have excellent HP sustain. On the other hand, focusing on magic power can be a good idea as well, in order to deal as much damage as possible and gain a thicker shield. He is an incredibly powerful hero that does not rely too much on items to become effective. This configuration is excellent in terms of dealing as much damage as possible, but if you want to improve his HP sustain more, then I suggest replacing the Assassin emblem with the Fighter emblem for the 10% spell vamp. This configuration deals the least damage, but can greatly improve his ability to regenerate HP. Because of its lackluster damage, this is only ideal if Paquito is played on the XP lane against a hero with tremendous HP sustain. This configuration is best for dealing tremendous damage with a little bit of HP sustain. You can also swap the assassin emblem with the fighter emblem if you want to improve his spell vamp. This configuration is for a more powerful damage output, which we highly recommend regardless if you will play him on the XP lane or the jungle. But if you are in need of better HP sustain, you can swap the assassin emblem with the fighter emblem. In most cases, using the assassin emblem with Rupture is the best way to go with Sylvana. But if you are in need of a better HP sustain, then go with the fighter emblem. The only time you will select the mage emblem is when at least 4 of the enemies are squishies. That happening is very rare though, since most lineups consist of tankier heroes with much higher magic defenses. We suggest going with a full tank configuration focused on HP pool, since Masha heavily relies on it. This is a good configuration regardless whether you play her on the XP lane, jungle, or as a roamer. Weakness Finder, in our opinion, is the best core talent for Masha, since it allows her to slow her target tremendously, thus helping her prevent them from escaping. The Marksman emblem focused on attack speed is also pretty good, but this heavily relies on your ability to play effectively, since this configuration is very squishy. This is also geared towards taking major objectives quickly, such as the turtle, the lord, and of course, the turrets. His ability to reduce his target's armor is what makes Dirith amazing. This configuration will help him further improve his ability in bursting down enemies, even if you only play him with minimal damage items. It also aids his spell vamp, so it can be good whether you are playing him on the XP lane or the jungle. If you prefer X-Borg with greater HP sustain, go with the fighter emblem configuration shown here. Make sure to have vitality, since his HP pool is tremendously low. Choosing the tank emblem is solely up to you. In my opinion, that is only ideal when you are playing X-Borg on the XP lane against an enemy with high burst damage. Just like with the fighter emblem, it is recommended to have vitality as one of the talents. Of course, if you will play Terizla as a roamer, we highly suggest going with the tank emblem. But if you are playing him on the XP lane, going with the fighter emblem is also a good option for the tremendous HP sustain. This configuration will give Guinevere the ability to deal tremendous damage and also regenerate HP quickly, thanks to Festival of Blood. If you are more comfortable playing her with higher spell vamp, choosing the fighter emblem is not a bad idea. This configuration focuses more on attack speed, which in my opinion is a good idea, considering that Badang relies heavily on his basic attacks to pin down enemies in the event his ultimate did not do the trick. If you are an experienced player though, and are capable of successfully securing his skill combos, then having the assassin emblem with Rupture is definitely the way to go. Weakness Finder is selected since Badang's ultimate can trigger attack effects. Because of how potent his second skill is, focusing on attack speed and attack effects is definitely the way to go. This emblem will not just allow him to strike a flurry of attacks within a few seconds, it will also allow him to prevent enemies from escaping easily. Choosing which one of the two strongly varies on your preference. Personally, I prefer the fighter emblem for the additional HP sustain, especially when playing him on the XP lane. But if you prefer playing Tammuz with the Golden Staff Trinity, choosing the Marksman emblem is a better choice in order for Tammuz to max out his attack effect stacks quickly and also overwhelm the enemies with a flurry of attacks. If you are playing Leomord on the XP lane, focusing more on HP sustain emblem-wise is a good idea, but if you are playing him as a jungler, focusing on damage output is definitely the way to go. The Assassin emblem with Rupture and Festival of Blood has a good balance of HP sustain and damage output, while Killing Spree will allow Leomord to easily wipe out multiple enemies thanks to its effect that temporarily boosts the user's movement speed. His configuration really depends on the player. Personally, I prefer the tank emblem with Swift for the additional survivability and mobility. But if you prefer a build that is capable of dealing as much damage as possible, go with the Assassin emblem and Rupture. Quantum Charge is a must-have for Aldous in order to make chasing down enemies much easier. If you are playing him as a jungler, go with this configuration for maximum damage output and multi-kills. But if you prefer playing him on the XP lane, this might be a better choice for you. He is extremely versatile. You can either choose this configuration or this one regardless if you are playing him as a jungler, XP laner, or an assault roamer. But if your team lacks a tanky hero, and you are playing Jawhead as a roamer, we suggest hitting the tanky route instead. Argus greatly benefits from the attack speed the Marksman emblem provides. Depending on your playstyle, you can either choose Quantum Charge for added mobility, or you can go with Weakness Finder in order to slow enemies and prevent them from escaping. For the first basic talent, choose either Swift or Fatal. Swift if you will build the Golden Trinity, and Fatal if you will play him with critical damage items. Both of these configurations are excellent on Roger. Roger is, however, a hero that thrives in destroying multiple enemies thanks to his skills that have very low cooldown, which allows him to switch in and out of battle easily. Hence, Killing Spree is a better option in that regard. Only choose Lethal Ignition if you are new to the game and have slow hands. Using the Assassin emblem with Rupture is highly recommended because of how tremendous it buffs Lapu-Lapu's damage. The only time it is advisable using the Fighter emblem is when you are playing him as an XP laner and the opposing XP laner has better HP sustain. The emblems you will select greatly depend on what items you will get for Hilda. Choose Concussive Blast if you will play her with tons of high HP defensive items, and choose Lethal Ignition if you will play her with 2 to 3 physical damage items. Naturally, if your team lacks a tanky hero, playing her with the tank emblem is also a good idea. If you are playing Ruby on the XP lane, we suggest going with the Fighter emblem in order to greatly improve her HP sustain. That emblem is also good if she is played as a roamer, but in the event that your team lacks a powerful tank, we suggest using the tank emblem instead. Using the Assassin emblem on Alpha is highly recommended because of how great it improves his damage output, regardless if you will play him as a jungler or XP laner. Only use the Fighter emblem if he is matched against heroes with very powerful HP sustain. The Marksman emblem greatly benefits Sun in terms of attack speed, which is a necessity since he greatly relies on basic attacks to deal damage. It also allows him to play effectively despite the enemies having Dominance Ice. If you are one of the few players who prefer playing Sun with several defensive items and War Axe, using the Assassin emblem with Rupture is a good choice. Depending on your playstyle, you can choose either Weakness Finder or Quantum Charge. The Assassin emblem with Rupture, in our opinion, is the only ideal emblem for Cho if you are playing him as an XP laner. Bargain Hunter will help him get his much needed items quickly, especially since his damage output without items is pretty unremarkable. On the other hand, if you are playing him as a roamer and your team lacks a dependable tank, you can select the tank configuration instead. Freya is yet again a very versatile fighter. Regardless which configuration you choose from the three, she will still be effective. The results all boil down on how good or bad you are. For the Marksman emblem, only choose Fatal if you intend to play her with critical damage items. Otherwise, stick with either the Assassin emblem or the Marksman emblem with Swift as one of its talents. The configuration you would choose on Zilong also depends on your playstyle. Personally, I prefer the Assassin emblem with Rupture since it allows Zilong to one-shot squishies. But if you are fairly new to the game, using the Marksman emblem is a good idea in order to greatly increase his attack speed, especially if you are going to play him with the Golden Staff Trinity. Choose the Mage emblem if you prefer a more powerful burst damage and if you are planning on playing him as a mage. You can also select the Fighter emblem if you are in need of some HP sustain. For some situations, choosing the Assassin emblem with Rupture is also a good idea in case you are matched against a number of enemies with very high defenses. If you intend to play him as a jungler, the Assassin emblem with Rupture is the best choice. Having Weapon Master maximizes his damage output if you intend to play him with 4 or more damage items, but if you intend to play him with more defensive items, Festival of Blood is a good alternative in order to greatly improve his survivability. Though I do not suggest it, in case you want to play him on the XP lane, using the Fighter emblem with Festival of Blood can be a good option to out HP sustain the opposing XP laner. If you are playing Bomband as a jungler, go with the Assassin emblem and Rupture for maximum damage output. Otherwise, if you intend to play him on the XP lane, the Fighter emblem is ideal for that juicy spell vamp. That concludes our Mobile Legends game guide for today. Do you have any other talent recommendations for the heroes we covered today? Leave your thoughts on the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe, everyone. Peace.